Hello, clever people, and welcome to my review for The Boss Baby. So The Boss Baby stars Alec Baldwin, who voices the titular character, and the film follows a baby. Basically, it's like an adult inside a baby's body, and this baby works for this baby company where they're trying to make babies the most loved thing in the world. The conflict is that the dogs are the most loved thing at that moment, so the baby goes to a house to try to spread more love for babies. And if that happens, then the babies will be number one again, which is what they want. While this is going on, there is a little kid who is very upset that his new little baby brother is stealing all the attention from everyone. So eventually, to get what they want, the baby and the boy team up and go on this wild adventure. I was not looking forward to this movie. The trailer just sort of looked absurd, but not in a good way. There is a good way to do absurd comedy and absurdness in film, but The Boss Baby looked like it wasn't going to quite nail that, so I went in not very excited, and I came out pretty much, I got what I expected. The Boss Baby does nothing new, it does nothing creative, it's simply a disposable kids movie. It's really hard to hate this movie, because honestly, it doesn't really do anything too offensive. It doesn't do anything that makes you repulsed or angered. It really is just a disposable kids movie. Something that definitely hurts it is that it absolutely does nothing new. It follows practically the exact cliched storyline that happens in every single kids movie ever. My companion on this channel, Connor, we were Skyping one time after he had seen it. I was about to go see it, and he asked me to predict the ending. And I did. I predicted the ending spot on, and I hadn't even seen the movie yet. I had only seen the trailer, and I had only heard the premise, and I had already predicted the ending. That's how predictable this movie is. It is honestly, plot point by plot point, the exact same thing that you have seen in every kids movie ever. Another thing it struggles with is its humor, because the jokes in this movie are one of two things. One, they're either slapstick or fart jokes that'll appeal to kids, or two, they're jokes about a kid not knowing what work things are. Like, the Bible will say, oh, I have an itinerary, and the kid will be like, what's an itinerary? And then later they'll mention that in the film, or something like that. There is one joke in the movie that I actually found hilarious. There's basically, I don't want to spoil it, but there is a situation where they get on a plane with a bunch of Elvis impersonators, and it was honestly really, really funny. I don't know why I found that so funny, probably because it was just really absurd and really random, and it felt like the screenwriter just wrote that in and tried to make it as absurd as possible, so it didn't seem, like forced in, like they're trying to make sure that these characters get from one place to another. So they did that, and honestly, I found that quite funny, because if a movie can have absurd humor that isn't just purely for kids, it's actually quite good. The issue is, The Boss Baby, even though it has a wild, absurd premise, it really doesn't go for absurd humor most of the time. Another kid-like thing the movie does is that it has the characters say practically everything that happens. This really annoys me when it comes to kids' movies. When the directors think that the kids won't understand what's happening, so they have the characters say exactly what is happening to the camera so that the kids will understand what's happening. Like, if a person is sad or something and they start crying, someone will peer around the corner and say, oh no, blank is sad. And you don't necessarily need that in any movie really, and you definitely shouldn't have it in a kids movie, because that sort of like undermines the kids. That makes them feel that they are not smart enough to understand what's going on in the movie. If you just show it to them, it becomes great. One of my favorite all-time animated movies that appeals to kids is Spirited Away. That movie is slow-paced, and it doesn't say everything to the screen. It has a lot more going on than just what the characters say in the dialogue. It has a lot of symbolism, it has a lot of character development, it has a lot of emotion to it. And that's the reason why that film is so renowned, because it's good for kids, but it also teaches kids to be patient. It teaches them to look deeper than what's on the surface level. And when a kids movie just sort of says everything to the screen, it's a bit annoying. Speaking of annoying, this film has a lot of movie references. Now, because, Alec Baldwin and Glengarry Glen Ross, great film by the way, he was in that and he played another boss-type character. So they referenced that film a lot, like a kid goes in to grab a cookie and he says, hey, no, cookies are for closers. I liked that one. However, they have a lot more movie references throughout this film, and they're honestly quite annoying. They felt forced in there, like the director really wanted to, show that he knew a lot about film, so he included a lot of those movie references, and they were honestly quite annoying. And this film also, the relationship between the baby and the kid is rushed so quickly. It is in a matter of a minute that they make up and suddenly they're best friends. It seems so forced. Originally it's that they try to seem like they like each other, and then eventually it's like that they immediately like each other. It's so forced that if you would have given that entire subplot 5 or 10 more minutes just to develop, it could have not felt as rushed, but they wanted to make this as short as possible so that kids wouldn't lose their attention span. So that's what they did. Admittedly, there are quite a few good things to Boss Baby. Again, I said some of the absurd humor was really, really good, especially that Elvis bit. You also have some very good animation. There are these imagination scenes where the kid imagines that he's in certain places. It's kind of confusing at times, and later in the film it gets even more confusing. But while they were there, they were actually quite aesthetically pleasing. They looked very, very good. And also the voice acting, while not incredible, and while not amazing or memorable, the voice acting in this film is pretty decent. By far the best is Alec Baldwin. He plays that boss character perfectly, and he lends a great voice to this film. However, when it comes to Boss Baby, the bads outweigh the goods. It is not an offensive movie. It's not going to get like a 3 out of 10 from me like Sing did, and it's honestly, it's not as bad as Sing, it's not as bad as Trolls, it's not as bad as your average kid pandering film that comes out in the middle, towards the end of the month or the beginning of the month. But it is just a bad movie, and that is why I will give The Boss Baby a 4.25 out of 10. Alright, that concludes my review for The Boss Baby. What are your thoughts on this film? Comment in the comment section below and let me know. I'm Robert Burke, and this has been The Clever Critics. Goodbye.